Hey kids watching at home, I hope you've had a good week. So this week we're going to finish up learning about the story of Jonah and do the last chapter in the Bible about Jonah. So who remembers what happened last week? We remember that Jonah went to Nineveh and told the Ninevites about God, and all the Ninevites said sorry to God and they followed God again. But the story finished with Jonah not being very happy about this. He was angry that God had mercy on the Ninevites. So we're going to hear now what happens at the end of the story. Jonah was angry that God had mercy on the Ninevites. Jonah ran up to the top of a hill and he wanted to watch what would happen to the Ninevites. He was hoping that God would still destroy the city. It was really hot up there, and the sun beat down on him. It was so hot, his cheeks were getting all red. This made Jonah even angrier. Jonah was angry that God had mercy on the Ninevites. Jonah didn't want the Ninevites to be friends with God. Jonah wanted the Ninevites to get punished, so he was angry about that. He was angry they didn't get punished. And now he's getting even angrier because he was getting all hot in the sun. But then God did something nice to Jonah. He made a vine grow up. And the vine sheltered Jonah from the sun. There it is. It gave Jonah some shade. But Jonah was still angry that the Ninevites had turned back to God. So the next day, God sent a little worm, and the worm ate up the vine. Chomp, 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 chomp. Chomp, 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 chomp. And there was a little bit of the vine left. It was all withered up. Now Jonah was even angrier again. He said to God, God, I'm so hot in the sun. I'm so angry about my vine. I'm so angry I could die. I'm so hot. There's flies buzzing around. I'm getting sunburned. Oh, I'm so angry. And then God said to Jonah, is it right for you to be angry about the vine? And Jonah said, yes, I'm so angry I could die. But God said, you care so much about a little vine that was there for just one day. Why do you care so much about one little vine that you don't care about all the people in Nineveh? God was saying to Jonah, it's silly you care so much about a little vine that's giving you some shade. Shouldn't I care about the people of Nineveh and all the animals there too? And that's where the story ends. God asking Jonah, isn't it weird that you don't care about these people? So it's a bit of a funny part of the story where the vine happens. So we'll just see if we can understand that. I'll draw the So, Jonah, here's our Jonah here. And he's a grumpy man. I'll give him a grumpy face. Jonah really loved the vine. He loved the vine because it gave him some shade from the sun while he's up on the hill wanting to get grumpy at the Ninevites. But who does God love? God, do a crown for God. God loved all the people in Nineveh. For a bunch of people. And the story ends by saying, Jonah, you love the vine so much. Which is more important though, to love the vine lots or to love the people of Nineveh a lot? And God's saying it's really important to love all the people of Nineveh. And it's silly to love something like a vine. So it's really making you think, Jonah's really not a good guy. He didn't care about the people of Nineveh. He cared more about a vine than the people of Nineveh. So that's how the story ends. And the story ends that way. It doesn't tell you if Jonah ends up changing his mind. It doesn't tell you if Jonah ends up saying sorry to God. You never hear that in the story. But at the end of the story, we're meant to think, wow, it's so crazy that Jonah was such a bad dude and didn't care about the Ninevites. But it's also meant to make you think about yourself. Am I like Jonah too? Do I care about things like vines and TVs and video games and other things? Do I care about that more than I care about people? And am I like Jonah too? Is there anyone that I don't want to tell about Jesus? So this whole story is meant to make you think, am I going to be like this and love people? Or am I going to be like this and not love people and love other things instead? So we're going to do some craft now to remind us what happened in the story. So the first craft I've got for you is we're going to do a little biscuit that will remind us of the story. The first thing in your pack that we're going to use is this little chocolatey stuff. It's some chocolate icing. It's just some Betty Crocker chocolate icing. I don't think it tastes that great, so you can use some Nutella or your own icing if you want. And what you can do is just push it all down to one end of the plastic like that, and then give it a bit of a twist around, and then you can just cut off the tip of the plastic, and then you can squeeze out the icing onto your biscuit. I'm going to do that now. Just like that. Then, the next thing we're going to put on, I've got some little sprinkles for you. This is going to be some grass, like the grass where Jonah was at the top of the hill. So we'll just sprinkle on some grass. Then, we've got a little sour jelly baby. And it's sour because Jonah's a big sourpuss. I'm going to stick him up here at the top of the mountain, like in the story. Then what happens next in the story? A vine grows up. So we'll put our little mint vine up there to shade him. And then the last thing that happens in the story is we've got a little sour green worm. We're going to put the worm over here to eat the vine. And then that's our first little craft. A little biscuit we can eat. The next thing we're going to do, this one's a bit trickier. So I'm going to say if you're age 7 or younger, you're going to need mum and dad's help with this. We're going to make a worm soft toy. So I've given you all some socks. So choose a sock, and what we're going to do is we're going to fill the sock up with this stuffing that's in this bag. White fluffy stuffing, and it's going to be like a soft toy. Now if you're young, get your mum or dad to hold the sock over like that. So if you're 7 or younger, and they just hold it like that, and then you can put the stuffing in. If you're older, see if you can do it by yourself. So open up your bag of stuffing, and when you do it, it's going to be easier if you take big handfuls and do big handfuls at a time. And we're going to push our stuffing into our sock. And when we do it, don't just leave it there, you want to push it to the very bottom of the sock. And keep filling it with stuffing until he's completely full, and will be a very fat worm because he's just eaten the vine that was shading Jonah. And put in as much as you can and stuff it right to the very bottom. Just like that. Just keep stuffing it in. And stuff it in until you can't get any more in. And if you, I reckon you could get your parents to push it down and see if they can make you squeeze any more in. So there, I've got my very fat worm. What we're going to do now is I've got some little loom bands, they're little rubber bands, and you're going to just tie off the end, a bit like if you were tying a ponytail and some hair. So if you're a boy, you might need your mum to do this because you won't have tried that before probably. So just grab the end like that. You don't want to have lots of end, just a tiny bit of end, and get your little loom band and just tie it off like a ponytail. You can get your mum or dad to do that bit if it's too tricky. So I've done that, and I'm just going to get that little bit of fluff out. Now I've got a big thing like this, and I want it not to be kind of wonky shaped. We're going to try and make it straight, so we're just going to give it a roll on the table like that. Roll it out so it's a nice flat worm, or a nice straight worm. Give a bit of a pull. Now, if you see a worm, like the worm in our story, you'll notice they've kind of got some little bumpy things. I'll just show you. You see the little bumpy things along the worm? We're going to make some of these now. We're going to use the loom bands as well. So I'm going to get one loom band, just tie it around the other end where you tied it off, and that'll be like the worm's head. You can use a couple of bands so it makes more of a indent. So there's our worm's head. There's his little head. Now we're going to do some loom bands down the body to give him those bumps. You can use a couple at a time if you want. There's our first little bump. There's another little bump. And we'll do another bump. You can sleep with this soft toy in your bed maybe. I think this is a fun craft. There's a bit of extra work, it's a bit trickier than some of the other ones, but just do your best and I know you'll be able to do a good one. Another bump, and I'll do one more bump after this one. There's our little worm. Now, I think our worm needs a few more things. I think the first thing I'm going to do is give him a smiley face. So, your parents might have one of these at home. It's a permanent marker. Make sure you don't get it on your hands because it's really, really hard to rub off. So, we'll just do a smiley face like that. So you can go chop, chop, chop on the vine. Next thing I'm going to do is I've given you a bit of plastic vine, and you can make your worm sit on that vine like he's eating it. And what you can do is just kind of get the vine and tuck it under some of the bands. I'm just going to tuck it under there, and then I'll tuck it under one more, the last one. There's our worm sitting on the vine, chopping away. I've got a bit upside down, I realised. His mouth's on the wrong side. I'll just then the last thing we're going to do is stick on some eyes. So I've given you some googly eyes. Now the best way to stick the googly eyes on is with a hot glue gun. You might not have a hot glue gun at home, I don't think most people do. If you want to buy one, they're about $5 from the reject shop. If you don't have a hot glue gun, maybe super glue would work, I'm not sure. PVA glue would peel off after a little while. Or you can save your eyes until you see me next when we can go to church again, and you can use my hot glue gun. But if you have one, you just get your hot glue, put a little bit where the eye should be, and then you can stick on your eye. A little bit there. Just like that. So there's our little happy worm munching away on the line with his little googly eyes. Okay, so that's our last craft for today. Now there's one more thing we're going to do today. We're going to spend some time praying. And I thought this week we would spend time praying for our church at St. John's. So let's spend some time praying for church now. Dear God, thank you for our church at St. John's. Thank you for all the people that go there. Please be looking after all the people that are there. And dear God, please be looking after all the kids at church too. Amen. Great. So that's all we're doing for Sunday school this week. Now for the next couple of weeks it's school holidays, so we might have a break from the online videos, but I'll still send your parents out a few activities that you can be doing during the school holidays. Great. So see you later. Bye.